So we had a couple pretty surprising quarterback moves that happened today, from one getting paid to another one getting traded. But when you break it all down, it definitely makes sense. So I've got to talk about that, a new tight end passing up even Travis Kelce himself, and more right after. All right, first up, we've got a trade to announce. The Dallas Cowboys sent a 5th-round pick to the New England Patriots earlier this morning in exchange for quarterback Joe Milton and a 7th-round pick. This one was a bit unexpected, but with New England recently signing Josh Dobbs to be their backup quarterback, Milton was the odd man out. Meanwhile, the Cowboys needed a backup QB pretty badly. Cooper Rush signed a 2-year deal with the Ravens to be their QB2. Then, of course, Trey Lance, most recently with the Cowboys last year, is still an unrestricted free agent and could actually find himself playing in the Canadian Football League, which is pretty wild considering he was the 3rd overall pick of the 2021 NFL Draft. This might be one of the craziest falls we've seen so quickly, from no teams even wanting to give him a chance to be their backup. And with the future of Trey Lance a big old question mark at this point in time, it still meant the Cowboys were in need of a backup for Dak Prescott. Well, in comes Joe Milton, a 6th-round pick by New England just last year. He's a very intriguing guy because he's a physical freak. You can see here he tested extremely well in the vertical and broad jump as well as the 40, and that's not to mention his arm strength, which is absurd, as you can see in this video of him flicking a football over 80 yards. But while he's an elite athlete for sure, that doesn't always translate to the quarterback position at the pro level. He was considered pretty raw coming out of college, which is why he was a 6th-round pick. He did show some flashes in the preseason, but was pretty inefficient, even though it doesn't really matter as a rookie 6th-round pick. You just want to get in there and get some reps. He completed just 11 of 30 passes for 152 yards and a touchdown across all 3 preseason games, though, for what that is worth. He also got to play most of their Week 18 game against the Buffalo Bills. This is something more exciting, in my opinion, to look at regarding Milton. Drake May exited after 1 series, and he came in and played pretty well. I know it was against backup since Buffalo was already locked into their spot for the playoffs, but still, he was 22 of 29 for 241 yards and a touchdown, plus another one on the ground. I mean, who knows if he can ever become a consistent starter in the league, but that is showing him trending in an upwards direction. You really love to see it, and obviously the odds are stacked up against him a little bit as a 6th-round pick, but it's not impossible to work your way up to a starting caliber quarterback. Look at Brock Purdy, for example, the last pick of his draft class. Not an apples-to-apples comparison here, but regardless, it is not impossible for Joe Milton to kind of push through there. I'm not saying he's going to push Dak for the QB1 spot. Dak is the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, but he's coming off of a significant hamstring injury, so you can never be too careful with your backup quarterback. As far as why the New England Patriots ended up letting Milton go, aside from them obviously having Josh Dobbs as QB2, maybe they saw a style clash of May and Milton's playing styles, or maybe Milton wanted out and they gave him permission to seek a trade. You'll see here in a moment, I'll expand on that. But either way, for the Cowboys, it's a pretty low-risk move here. Dallas loves taking swings on project players that have a lot of upside, but maybe haven't fully panned out yet. They traded a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance 2 off-seasons ago, for example, then another 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo before the trade deadline last season, and now they acquired Joe Milton. Something that I did think was actually pretty cool about this trade is that the Patriots let Joe Milton have the final say, at least in some regard, on where he ended up going, because it's been reported that several teams were in on him, including the Raiders, Eagles, Giants, and Steelers. The Patriots actually had a better offer for him from another team, reportedly so, but they chose to send him where he wanted to go out of respect for him, so that was awesome to read because they certainly didn't have to do that. Now, another quarterback move that was announced today was actually the veteran quarterback Case Keenum. He's signing a 1-year deal worth up to $3 million with the Chicago Bears to assumedly be the backup quarterback for Caleb Williams. Case Keenum has been kind of everywhere. Texans, Rams, Vikings, Broncos, Commanders, Browns, Bills, and then most recently, once again, with the Texans. So the 37-year-old finds himself back on another 1-year deal. And is it enough to push Caleb Williams for a starting job? No, it's not, but he could be a valuable backup. And staying with the quarterback news here, Geno Smith and the Raiders agreed on a 2-year extension worth $85.5 million, with $66.5 million of that guaranteed. An extension was expected upon Vegas trading for him despite still having 1 year remaining on his previous deal. So now he's under contract through the 2027 season. But let's look at the numbers here for a second. $66.5 million in guaranteed money ranks 17th among quarterbacks and will probably be 18th once Brock Purdy's deal gets done if they do that here sooner rather than later. Plus, when you factor in the $31 million he was set to make this year, it's really $116 million over 3 years, which is $38 million per year, and that would have him as the 16th highest paid, just ahead of Derek Carr. So really, given the current going rate for quarterbacks, this price feels just about right, though at times he certainly plays better than average if you're looking at 16 of 32 starting quarterbacks. Now, Geno Smith did struggle with turnovers a bit last year, throwing 15 picks as the Seahawks offense sputtered, and they just missed the playoffs. He finished 4th in passing yards, though, and 5th in completion percentage among starters, so he's definitely capable of moving the ball down the field. And now that he's reunited with Pete Carroll, maybe they can recapture some of the magic they had in 2022 when Geno had by far the best year of his career. It helps that he will also have Brock Bowers to throw passes to in 2025, a guy entering year 2 and coming off the best rookie season of a tight end we've ever seen. And this year, maybe, just maybe, Ashton Jeanty is also on the roster in the backfield after the draft. Now, another player got a big-time payday today as well, and that was Cardinals tight end Trey McBride. The Cards made him the highest paid tight end in NFL history with a 4-year, $76 million extension that includes $43 million guaranteed. He's now set to make $19 million annually, almost $2 million more than Travis Kelce, who was previously the highest paid. Trey has taken massive strides since entering the NFL as well. He was a second-round pick in 2022 and had just 29 catches his rookie year, but really broke out in 2023 with 81 catches for 825 yards. Then last season, he took yet another step up, leading the team in both receptions and receiving yards. 111 catches for 1,100 yards. The touchdowns have been a little harder to come by for him, just 6 over his first 3 years in the league, but plenty of time for improvement there. This is definitely a win-win for both sides. Trey obviously makes generational money. I don't know why I said it 3 times. It's just so much money. Meanwhile, the Cardinals lock up one of the best tight ends in the game, who's still only 25 years old and getting better. There's certainly a ton of talent on this Cardinals offense. I mean, you got Trey McBride, obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., Dog, James Conner, and Trey Benson, who they drafted last year. If they can get all the pieces to gel alongside Kyler Murray, I do think they can be more of a lethal unit. The O-line wasn't perfect, but they were an above-average unit in terms of pass protection. Kyler Murray had the 5th lowest pressure rate among quarterbacks who started 6 or more games last year, and the O-line had the 8th highest pass blocking grade on PFF, for what that's worth. They were 11th in both points and yards last season, but honestly, I think they could be even better. At least, for sure better, in theory, than 8-9, which is what they finished on the year last season. And as an avid Chiefs fan who's had one of the best tight ends in football on the team that I root for the last 12 or so years, I'm very happy to see the tight end market continuing to rise and the new generation of tight ends showing out. Sam Laporta, I like him a lot. He's probably one of the next big paydays that are going to happen for tight ends. Next offseason, I believe he's eligible after the 2025 season, so not this year, but he deserves it, and he definitely won't be the last one to get a boatload of money. But that's going to do it for me today. You guys got to let me know what you make of the Joe Milton trade, as well as the 2 big contracts that were handed out. And with that, I'll see y'all next time.